This is 50ish and Fab. For women over 50 who are still becoming, still building, and definitely not done, even if life tried to convince you otherwise. This is where grown women come to tell the truth, take up space, and live out loud. I'm KC Sonshine, and around here, we're not winding down, we're leveling up. Well, all righty. Welcome. Hey, Fab family, and welcome back to another episode of 50ish and Fab. It's your girl, KC Sonshine, and I am absolutely thrilled to the gills that you are joining me today for another show. First off, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful family here at Brick in the beautiful downtown Brooklyn that gives us access to all of this amazing studio equipment. And I want to shout out my Be Free Grammy nominated, Emmy nominated.
It is not a Grammy.
It's the Grammy of Brick, y'all, okay? It's the Be Free Awards. Just know that I got somebody on my show that is Emmy, Grammy nominated on his way to EGOT.
I am nominated. Brunch Blaze and Babble is nominated for a Be Free Award.
That deserves all the applause in the world. Congratulations to my favorite producer, Roger Turner, and his partner, Alex Bertrand, for their nomination for Brunch Blaze and Babble, which is my favorite podcast next to my own, of course. Y'all better check them out. They're also on Brick, and they're doing amazing things. So I just want to say congratulations to you, Roger.
Thank you. We're going to be looking for your nomination next year.
And next year. That means I got to get some more episodes under my belt. So thank you all. Today's topic is one that is near and dear to my heart, but it also brings me a little flame up under my skin because you know how it is when your kids don't act right. So today's topic is a song by Cheryl Pepsi Riley. You got to say Pepsi because there's two I's on there. Called Thanks for My Child. And the hot flash on this, which is something that surprises me about a song that I choose, is that Bow-Legged Lou from Full Force wrote this song. Bow-Legged Lou.
Shut up.
No, Bow-Legged Lou. Like, this group was all things testosterone. You know how they flex your pecs and have the shirts with the tails in?
Oh, we all saw them on House Party. You mean to tell me big old Bow-Legged Lou wrote Thanks for My Child?
Big old Bow-Legged Lou wrote Thanks for My Child. But now the backstory of that is that he was on the road and his wife had suffered a miscarriage. So when he went to the hospital to visit her, he saw some women who were leaving that were excited about the new life that they'd brought, and others, like his own wife, who had suffered loss. So that was the inspiration for Thanks for My Child. Bow-Legged Lou. If they were on a Planet Fitness commercial, they'd be all things lunk alarm. I pick things up, I put them down. So I want to thank them for being so sensitive and bringing us this song, which is only half of today's show title. The full title is Thanks for My Child, but can you please answer the damn phone? Nothing burns me more than to call one of my nieces or my nephews and they not answer, but they text me right back. Are you at a White House briefing? What is it? Are you in prayer with Jesus? What is it that makes you not answer the phone, but you can text me back? How is that possible?
Do you want to know the answer?
Yes, please.
How old are your nieces and nephews?
They range anywhere from 11 to 28.
Yeah, it's a generational thing.
Clearly it is.
Generationally, they're not used to talking on the phone. They find talking on the phone more cumbersome than texting. Like,
it's true.
Why do I get on the phone and talk to you when you could have just sent me this in a text?
Yeah, no. Well, I'm going to tell you why the hell you're going to get on the phone when I call you. Okay, consequences and repercussions when you don't answer the phone are thou that payest the bill list. Okay? You remember back in our day, if someone called, we actually answered the phone because it was a mystery until we got call ID. We didn't know who it was. It could be your grandmama. It could be your best friend. It could be Ed McMahon from Publishers Clearinghouse. It could have been anybody. So there was some mystique to the ringing phone before we actually had caller ID. Now, these kids, they be looking at their phone when it ring like it's a distant relative they owe money to. Like, I'm not answering that. But that goes for anyone. So why this topic matters to me so much is because I feel social media has, to some degree, rendered our whole generation socially inept. They just don't know how to converse. They're not accustomed to conversations, and that's a whole nother thing. So before I get too deep into it, I want to get to tell the truth, shame the devil, which is that my very first car cost less than my cell phone today. I bought my first car in 1987, which was a 1976 Toyota Corolla. I bought it from a garage sale, and it was $400. The average cell phone today is at least a G. So my tell the truth, shame the devil is that basically we spend way too much on technology that really we don't have to have. My kids act like it's a life support system. If you cut off their cell phone, oh my God, and don't say 20% battery left, they will run all over the earth and back to find some electricity. So that's my tell the truth, shame the devil. That's what I have for that. Thank you. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is I'm not mad at technological advances. We got self-driving cars, and we got AI, and anything with some initials, I'm down for it. NAACP, AARP, AAA, anything with some letters, I'm down for it. So all of this, but that doesn't include BRB, IDK, FOMO. Look, acronyms are not my love language. So my kids were like, okay, IBRB. What does that mean? If you're going to use 3 syllables, BRB, why not just say the whole word? Because you're going to be right back. It don't cost you no more. It's the same amount of syllables. So I don't understand it. But I don't want to belabor the point there. The great communication divide from payphones to screens. Now, back then, 1987, I use that as my point of reference because that's when I turned 17 or 18, something like that. The age of these kids. If you needed to call someone, you either had a house phone with a cord long enough to lasso some cattle if you needed to, or you went searching for a payphone like you was on a scavenger hunt. Nowadays, these kids have supercomputers right in their pockets. Yet somehow they still miss every single call. You can Google your way home. You can Uber yourself a ride. You can tweet, twit, all that, but you can't answer the phone.
I just read an article that younger generations aren't even Googling. They're not typing a question or information into Google and then reading the result. They're typing it into like TikTok or YouTube so someone can talk back to them and tell them the answer.
Are you serious?
Yeah, most younger generations aren't even using Google.
Wow. So I guess that I can't say that I'm surprised though, because it's our generation that turned Google into a verb. Right? Like, we've got all these things that we've changed into verbs. It used to be, I'm a map quest you. Now then it became Google. You remember? We used to map quest something. So those things that have become verbs, I guess, will soon be obsolete. So I can't say that I'm surprised about that. But when you compare that, we had payphones where you always had to have a quarter. We really did make phone calls count. Now with the cell phones, these kids don't even know what a dial tone sounds like. Your cell phone don't got no dial tone. On your house phone, do they know what a busy signal is? You think these kids ever had a busy signal?
I think only if they're like calling a business, but people don't have, everyone has voicemail now.
And call waiting.
So nobody has a busy signal anymore. But I think some like house phones or businesses will have a busy signal. Will they recognize what that is? I don't know.
No, Mama, what's this noise? They will not. Because now they act like memorizing a phone number is a human rights violation. Oh, no. We actually knew people's phone numbers. As a matter of fact, I can still call one of my first phone numbers from the 80s.
I promise you the only phone number I have memorized is my husband's.
Yeah, now I'm not so good with it either, but, there are a couple of numbers, emergency numbers that I have on deck. They can't call nobody.
Do I know mine? I know mine. I had to think about it.
I have to think about when somebody asked me for mine, too. It's like, yeah, let me think on that. Here's some suggestions on how to get them to communicate better beyond just using the cell phone or not answering their calls. So text versus calls when they won't answer. You call them, no answer. You text them, instant reply. Send them a meme. They respond in 0.2 seconds. If you want your kids to respond, send them a meme. They don't speak English. They don't speak Spanish. They don't speak nothing. They speak memes. Even if they're hungry, that's what you'll get. They won't be like, Mom or Auntie, I want this. No, they'll send you a meme. And you're supposed to be able to understand what that means. But you should also be teaching basic phone etiquette in case they ever have to answer a phone. And that you should also not be afraid to reinforce rules like, if I pay your bill, I get VIP access. Okay, now when they start paying their own bills, that's something different. If you can FaceTime your friends for 2 hours, you can answer when I call. Because they will be on FaceTime. That's one thing they will do is they will FaceTime in a heartbeat. If I leave a voicemail, you are legally required to listen to it. I don't care if it's just me breathing heavily trying to remember why I called you, but you will respond to my voicemails. And that's important that we as parents and aunties and uncles and grandparents, that we set boundaries and compromises, because you have to be willing to some degree, meet them halfway. So if you know your kid is 100% texter, meeting them halfway may be requiring a phone check-in at sporadic times, right? So, okay, look, we don't text all day, but at 7 o'clock, I need to see your face. I need to hear your voice. So setting healthy boundaries is a good way to make sure that you are staying in touch with your children. If they ignore calls, switch things up. Use their own tactics against them. So start sending cryptic text messages like, we need to talk. Nobody want to read that. In no relationship do you ever want those words, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife, we need to talk. Mm-mm.
So a trick I used with my nephews, I would send a text that said, guess what, ... and then say nothing. And then wait for them to like say, what happened? And then I just text back, TYL.
Wait a minute, TYL.
Tell you later.
Tell you later. Oh, now they got to wait.
But then they won't wait. They'll eventually just call you. Because they'll text you a couple of times, and if you don't answer, they'll call you.
That's a good
They'll
trick.
probably FaceTime you.
Yeah, okay, so make note of that. I will be using that one because mine are off the chart somewhere else. So the cryptic messages, and guess what? That works. Okay, great. Writing that down. Note to self, because I believe when you do these things, they will call you back super fast because now they want to know. Leave them on the edge of their seat. Oh, and God forbid they leave me on 3 bubbles. I'm coming to kick your door down. Leave me on 3 bubbles. Leave me on 3 bubbles for more than a couple minutes, and I know we're in the same house. I'm coming in like kicking your whole door down. So yeah, that's another thing. Now, social media hygiene and digital responsibility are very important when we have these conversations, because the addiction to social media is real. I mean, some kids, you take away their phone, oh my gosh, that's the end of the world. They just rather jump out the window than to be without their cell phone for a few minutes. So you have to, first off, know the severity of the addiction with the child, because there are different ways that you have to approach it. Some kids, you may just have to literally wean off slowly. And it's not that you have to be off social media completely, but the reality of it is that life be life in the real world, or in their terms, IRL. It's important that even if our kids have time enjoying video games and these kinds of things, that they're not missing out things that are happening in real life. Because half the time they can't remember their chores, but you can best believe they remember every trending TikTok dance for the last 7 years. So it's important that you know when, as a parent, to step in. Because social media is the wild, wild west, and that makes you the sheriff. You have to be in tune with what it is that your kids are ingesting. And it's not so much about spying, but it's about keeping them from oversharing, keeping them from underthinking or starring in their own bad future job interview horror story. Because what's on the internet don't die. I think we have learned that the hard way from celebrities, even from just everyday people, where what you say can haunt you forever. So that's another thing to be mindful of. Now, if you are wanting to wean your kids off social media without starting World War III, because we all know kids today and their cell phones, there is a way to get them to unplug without them acting like they've been sentenced to the dark ages. One way is to set no phone zones. The dinner table. I recall a couple of Thanksgivings ago, we were all having Thanksgiving dinner as a family, and we're just watching items go back and forth on the table as if a ghost were just saying, pass the gravy. We see the gravy. Pass the, like, stuff just going back and forth because the kids are texting to each other. Why are you at Thanksgiving texting talking about, hey, can you pass me them biscuits? That's just disrespectful. So it is completely.
I mean, if you're going to text, have a side conversation. Don't waste texting under the table for that.
Pass the gravy. That's not serious enough.
No, like, why does Aunt Titi have that dress on? Like, that's
legit.
That's a side text. That's a reason to text underneath the table.
But that's what we be doing as the adults. Girl, did you see?
Kids do that too. Kids low key do that too. I'm sorry. You were giving suggestions on how to.
No phone zones. Yes. Family outings. Right. If we're gonna be out, we're gonna be out. We will not go ice skating, roller skating. We will not go bowling. And every time between every frame, you got to check your phone. It's a no phone zone. I don't think that there's anything that kids are doing that can't wait a couple of hours out of entertainment. You understand? So family outings, that's a no phone. When you're visiting family, you go over your grandmama's house, no phone. No phone. Now, if you stand over grandmama's house for an extended amount of time, you might need the phone. But I'm saying that if you're just having a leisurely dinner, that should be a no phone zone. And when it comes to weaning kids off of social media, you might have to start small, whether it's 30 minutes a day. Okay, look, you got 30 minutes, you got an hour, you got whatever it is. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with making kids earn screen time. They just consider, because they have a phone in hand, that all of that exposure is given, but it's not. You can treat social media like it's a privilege and not a right. If you make it a privilege, then the kids have to understand that it's a privilege. First off, that means that schoolwork, done. Chores, handled. Eye contact during conversations, required. So these are things that I'm going to need, and you can maybe earn your screen time. You want an extra hour from TikTok? How about you read a book? Can you do that? Read a chapter in a book.
Did you have one of those families that when school was off, you had to do a book report during the summer?
No.
Oh, my aunt used to make us all do book reports every summer. Like, just outside of school assigned, we had to read one book that summer and had to write her a book report.
Oh, they didn't make us write a book report, but you had a summer reading list.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So you had a list of books that from the time you left the 7th grade that you needed to read before you got to the 8th grade, because we finna talk about it over here.
Oh, we had that too in school. But outside of that reading list at school, my aunt, who was a teacher, wanted us to give her a book report of a book that was not on that reading list, because she wanted to make sure that we were reading.
Oh, no.
So she was like, find another book, and I want to see the book report. And, I had a lot of cousins. on my father's side alone, I have 53 first cousins.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's a lot of us. She read all of those books.
She did.
She read all those books to make sure she read those book reports.
My mom only had 5. She was not trying to require anything like that to cause her to do anything else than 5 lived under her roof. I don't even think she cared if we could read. It was too many of us.
Yeah, I get that. Can I add a couple of things in there?
Sure.
So I was also reading a report around parents trying to build communities that create communities of no phone zone communities. Like, if you are at a charter school or a public school, get involved with the school and try to petition for the school to make sure there's a no phone policy at your child's school. Because what tends to happen is that kids, when you create that no phone policy at home, the majority of their socialization with their peers is through social media. You can create the environment where your child can end up feeling isolated from their peers. And to combat that, you can create a community at your child's school where they're not as engaged in social media, but they're also not feeling isolated from their peers, because isolation is proven in psychology to cause rebellion in children.
That is a very interesting thing that you bring up, because here in New York, there's been a debate about kids not being able to have access to their cell phones during school hours. And as a matter of fact, a couple of years now, I'm a serial entrepreneur, right? I'm always thinking about a new hustle. So I guess maybe 7 or 8 years ago, there were vans and school buses parked outside of New York City schools where kids could park their phone for like $5 a day because they couldn't take it inside. And I thought, we could get a van. I was going to be the school bus cell phone lady. Think about it. $5 a day during the school, right? So the kids store their phones there. But think if you got a couple hundred kids' phones a day. You know how small it is to store a cell phone? Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was a big money hustle. However, the flip side of that and the negative feedback that the school system received is that parents don't want their kids without their phones during the day in case of emergencies. It's not like back in the day where all our parents worried about was like that. You remember tornado drills? Mm-hmm. You have to get up under the desk or all these things. That's all we ever worried about. But with school shootings, parents don't trust kids to be in school without the phone. Now, I don't understand why that's really relevant because I don't know that in an emergency like that, I want my kid trying to hide.
Right. I don't want you talking on the phone.
No, go somewhere.
I want you to go somewhere and hide. I want you talking on the phone. And I used to work with children, and there was these two arguments from parents. I don't want my child to not have a phone, but then parents that were a part of trying to create this no phone community is like, they're not in a building that does not have a landline. Like, if your child is in school, they are in a place where you can get in contact them at all times. And if they know their parent's cell phone number, they can also get to a landline and call you at any time. School landlines and a cell phone are two different things.
Right. Well, I know that there is that debate about access in schools and that kind of thing. But one of the things I'll close with is what's most important is us leading by example. The person that I'm dating is buying his son a car. And I'm like, you must not text and drive. You absolutely cannot because they're going to do what they see you do. And if you make it a cardinal sin that texting and driving is absolutely unacceptable and instill that in them, but you can't be over here texting and think they're not going to follow that example. So it's the same thing with social media. If you stay glued to your phone, then you can't be talking about, you can't use your phone and you need to find some restrictions because the healthy boundaries that they have will be the ones that you put in place, but you also need them for yourself. It's important for us to always be the first partaker of our message, always to be the first partaker. And texting and driving, as you said, undivided attention, those kinds of things, active listening. You and I had a conversation. You were like, I really think that this person is great, but they don't have active listening skills, right? And that's because they're from another generation where they weren't taught what active listening is like. So they're not able to bounce back and have a lively conversation because they weren't taught those skills. What about good, healthy banter? Have a conversation. I swear to you, the recent exposure that I've had to teenagers 13 through around 18, the most popular words I hear them say is, I don't care. And it's one word, IONTKARE. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm thinking to myself, I wish you ninjas would just get that in a tattoo and just throw up your arm, throw up the tattoo so you don't even have to voice that I don't care no more. Just get on your forehead.
Do you think our generation had a phrase like that our parents got tired of?
Ooh, what would that, my bad.
My mother used to hate that.
My bad, Mom. Oh, my bad.
Are you trying to say I'm sorry? Because that's what that means. My mother.
Yeah, because everything was my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hated that, I'm sure.
Which is an acceptable apology now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my last tip is, you know how kids will just doom scroll. They think it's fun. They just start scrolling. And I'm guilty of it too. When I'm not fully engaged or have some free time, especially on the train, I'm just scrolling. Put your kids in activities where their hands are too busy for a phone, okay? Sports, music, art, anything that's in real life. Things that will keep their hands busy. The old saying is, idle hands are the devil's workshop, but so are tweeting hands, and so are sticky fingers, and so are a lot of things. So get your kids involved in activities and also do things as a family. We have game night. You've been to my game night. I have a game night periodically where I just invite people. No phones, put your phones down. We're just going to have some good conversation and banter and just have fun amongst ourselves. And you can do that as a family.
Well, I also don't want to discourage, children that are really passionate about technology. So if you find that your child has a real passion for not just like being on the phone or being on a computer, but how it works and how to create things and how to make what they're doing better, like there's activities for that too. Get your child involved in a STEM program, a robotics program, or
I agree.
something that is also getting them to engage with the technology in a creative and intellectual way.
I agree wholeheartedly, but then that goes back to another episode that we will record soon about what kind of parent are you? Because it is your responsibility as a parent to identify these types of giftings in your children. And the two types of parents were John the Baptist parents in the Bible. Of course, I got something from the Bible. Me and Jesus. So there was John the Baptist parents who prepared him for his ministry. And when you read the story about Mary coming to Elizabeth and Mary touching Elizabeth, how John the Baptist leapt in her womb. So they're an example of parents. But then the opposite side of that are the parents, which are Samson's parents, who knew the danger that he was in, but they did not prepare him, which is why he got his hair all cut off and lost his power and those kinds of things. So to your point, you are exactly right. If you're going to be John the Baptist parents, it's important that you identify what your kids' giftings are so you won't stall out a gifting.
Just because you play football doesn't mean your
Right.
children want to play football.
Exactly.
Just because you are a ballet dancer doesn't mean that
Exactly.
your daughter wants to be a ballet dancer. You can expose them to these different things, but then you have to follow like where their passion is and what it is that they want to continue to do. And if a child tells you they don't want to do this anymore, listen.
I do agree that parents should be sensitive to their kids' giftings, but I also think that it's important that parents take the responsibility and lead.
Yeah.
It's important that parents take the responsibility. There's a difference because I feel like my parents knew what my giftings were, but did not take it seriously enough to nurture it properly. You understand? Like they knew that I could sing and woo, 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 but they never really do like Beyonce's parents. Because if you're familiar with her story, her parents didn't really know how gifted that child was until the teacher was like, your daughter's really got something. Her mother said, well, she probably tell you that about all the kids.
Right.
And then when they go and see her dad was all in from that point.
Yeah.
Now, he might have got a little pimptastic with it, but he recognized.
Yeah. Matthew was low-key abusive.
Yeah, but look,
but he
taking
did
that part out. He saw the child had something.
He did invest out.
Joe Jackson beat some asses too, but look.
all of them came out crazy. All of them.
Yeah, well, I ain't saying don't beat your kids. I am
Right.
saying that if you recognize the gifting in them, get behind it.
Get behind it and
Get
put
behind
some. Put
it.
some. And this is. I think a lot of people say my mom make it about a financial situation. I grew up in a single parent home. My mom didn't have a lot of money either, but when she was coming home and finding that I had moved all the furniture and was tearing up the hardwood floors in our apartment so I can choreograph pieces after I saw episodes of Fame, she was like, okay, I need to get you into a dance school. So she did some research. She couldn't send me to like one of the big dance schools in the city, but she found a small place where I could get a scholarship. And
Right.
she was able to get me into a program, which it later got me into other programs, which
Right.
eventually I became a professional dancer. There are programs that are out there. Seek them, look for the things that you can afford and get your children into. Especially if you live in a big city like New York or
Oh,
Philadelphia,
especially here.
Los Angeles. I mean, I don't know if those are going to keep going in this climate, but there
Yeah.
are plenty of free programs that kids can get into.
I agree. And if you find people in your community, like there are some organizations that I've worked with. I had the free lunch program at my nail salon. And there were local organizations that I was able to connect with that taught the kids sewing lessons at a discount. So there are opportunities. And then there's strength in numbers. So if there are other people in your community that also have similar needs, let's say you could have a group of kids who might want to go, there may be some kind of discount available to that. What I will say, though, is that if you believe in God, God will make the way. God will always open doors. I'm telling you, like, I ain't even going to get all into it, but I'm going to just say that, well, all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And that is Matthew something. I think that's Matthew 28.
Let's look it up.
Matthew 28. We'll come back to that. But anyway, so I think that was all I had today for this episode of 50ish and Fab, the Hot Flash Report. Thanks so much, child, but can they please answer the phone? Otherwise, I'm going to stop paying their phone bill. Well, first, I want to do key lessons learned from today. Our generation survived without cell phones. Meanwhile, our kids can barely survive a low battery warning. Your child does not have to have a cell phone. It is not a life-giving, life-force necessity. It is something that we opt to give them as relates to convenience, but their abuse of it, their overuse of it, and their neglect of us is a stone-cold no-go. Go back and think about, why did I get this child his phone? I did not get this child a phone for them to TikTok all day. I got this child a phone to make sure that if there was an emergency, that they could be in touch with me. But if they're going to try not to be in touch with me by not answering my phone calls, that's a problem. Number 2, kids can communicate better if you allow them to actually speak. When you allow the standard to strictly be texting, don't ever think that you're going to produce the most articulate of anything in the room because you haven't taught them how to communicate, nor how to speak properly and engage with other people. There is absolute value in face-to-face communication and having to verbalize the thing besides just texting it and typing it. Lastly, a good balance between tech and real life interaction is an absolute must in order to raise children that are well balanced and healthy. I am not an expert, but I am someone who is exposed to my nieces, nephews, my kids, aunts, uncles, family members, and we all can recognize the difference in who we were as children and who it is that we are raising and grandparenting today. There are some things that we do that were worse, and there are some things that we do better. But one thing you can rest assured that we do better as Gen X is we can communicate. We can hold a conversation. Hey, so I will put some Jesus on it today. I'll leave you with 1 Peter 14. This verse encourages believers, including children, to live as obedient children, not conforming to desires of their past ignorance, but rather shaping their lives to be like the Holy One who called him. The way it actually reads, this is 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 14. As obedient children, do not conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance. Now, let me say how that is, because now we align so much internet usage and those kinds of things with wisdom, but that's not necessarily the case. It's not like the internet is making your kids a whole lot smarter. It may, in fact, be faster access to information, but all of the information that they're getting is not necessarily what's pure, right, and true. So monitor what your kids are reading, monitor what your kids are watching, monitor what your kids are ingesting, because what they put in is what they will put out. And I will leave you with those words. Thank you for joining me for another episode of 50ish and Fab. The God in me honors the God in you. Shalom.